Zso Sahaal, also known as the Talon Master, was once the first captain of the 8th Legion of the Legione Astartes, the Night Lords. Zso Sahaal was not the original captain of the Legion's first company, but instead was promoted to the role after the apparent death of former first captain Jago Sevatarian. Despite being the captain of the first company, Sahaal was detested and loathed by many within the Legion. Because of this, the Atramentar, a brotherhood that was comprised of some of the most elite warriors within the Night Lord's Legion, would mostly dissolve, rather than allow themselves to be commanded by Sahaal. Some believe that the reasoning behind this was due to Zso Sahaal being a Terran, instead of being born upon Nostramo, the homeworld of the majority of the Night Lord's Legion. Others, however, maintain that the reason was merely due to the Talon Master being incapable of filling the void left in the wake of Sevatar's passing. Despite the feelings his battle brothers would hold against him, Zso Sahaal was one of the few warriors within the Legion who the Primarch Konrad Curze had a genuine affection for. This bond Zso Sahaal and Konrad Curze shared would eventually lead towards Curze naming Zso Sahaal as his successor, and that the Primarch's crown, the Corona Nox, would act as the Talon Master's symbol of office. When the Primarch was eventually executed by the Kalidas assassin M'Shen, the assassin would take Curze's head, sword, ring, and the Corona Nox as proof of her kill. Zso Sahaal, along with many other members of the Legion, would begin pursuing the assassin in order to reclaim the stolen relics. The Talon Master would eventually reacquire the Corona Nox moments before a vast Eldari fleet appeared and launched an attack upon the Legion, determined to claim the Corona Nox for themselves. Zso Sahaal would flee the battle with the Corona, but his ship would be trapped within the warp storm, causing him to lapse into a Susan membrane-induced coma before his ship crash-landed upon the frozen hive world of Aquixus 10,000 years later. After awakening from his coma, Sahaal discovered that the Corona Nox had been stolen by a group of scavengers that had come to pillage the ship for salvage. Despite encountering regular interference from the inquisitorial psyker Mita Ashin, Zso Sahaal would eventually discover that the Corona Nox had been added to the planetary governor's private collection of artifacts, and would eventually send a beacon to his legion for reinforcement. A Night Lord's warband under the command of Captain Krieg Acerbus, who during the course of the past 10,000 years had ascended to demonhood, would eventually answer Zso Sahaal's signal. Sahaal was shocked and appalled by what his legion had become, claiming that they had ignored their Primarch's teachings and had become little more than psychopaths as a result. This would lead to Acerbus and Sahaal engaging one another in battle, as the Demon Prince attempted to claim the Corona for himself. Acerbus would tear Sahaal's arm from its socket, but Sahaal would manage to escape with Mita Ashin, who now allied herself with the Night Lord after being betrayed by her master, with the Corona Nox in tow. But the Corona would slip from the Psyker's hands and fall into the depths of the Hive City's exterior, before Sahaal and Mita Ashin would vanish, pursuing it into the darkness. Zso Sahaal's final fate from here is unknown. So what could have happened to him? Approximately 1 week following the events that unfurled upon Aquixus, a small shuttlecraft would translate near the world of Bairus. The ship's pilot would transmit inquisitorial authorization codes to the security cordon that was in orbit around the world. The shuttle would then be subjected to a psychic scan by the security team's astropath, who confirmed the presence of 2 individuals on board, one male and one female. The identities of these 2 beings are strongly implied to be that of Zso Sahaal and Mita Ashin. Given that Krieg Acerbus had torn the Talon Master's arm from its socket, then it's logical to presume that one of the more immediate concerns for Zso Sahaal would be to have a cybernetic prosthesis attached to his body in order to replace his lost limb. Just who exactly would be willing to perform the necessary surgery required to graft a limb onto a traitor Astartes is unknown, though it would be easy to assume that such a procedure would not be performed by one of the more commonly found medics within the Imperium, the Sororitas of the Orders Hospitaller, due to their strict adherence to the Imperial cult and abhorrence of heretics. When Zso Sahaal pursued the Corona Nox, the Talon Master would begin planning for the future, as detailed towards the end of the novel, Lord of the Night.
He would bring the vengeance of the Night Haunter upon the heads of those that stood in his way. One day he would kill Krieg Acerbus. He would lead his legion once more. One day he would descend from the skies of holy terror and set his claws upon the bulwarks of the palace itself. One day, in the name of his master, he would have his revenge upon the traitor emperor, Ave Dominus Nox.
This would suggest that after recovering from his wounds, Zso Sahaal would begin attempting to locate various Night Lord warbands in an attempt to establish his rule over them due to Sahaal being the heir to the Primarch's mantle. While many within the Legion held little appreciation for Zso Sahaal for one reason or another, this behaviour does not necessarily translate to the entirety of the Legion. As detailed within the novel Voidstalker, the Night Lords of the First Claw, Urzas and Mercutian, would even admit that, while they did not like Zso Sahaal, they had at least respected him, which in turn means that many more Night Lords could also still hold some form of admiration for the first captain. As such, Zso Sahaal could very well have used his position as the Night Haunter's heir, or through the simple and brutal act of dethroning the leaders of other warbands in order to begin mustering his forces. Such a force would have to be formidable indeed for the next part of Zso Sahaal's plan, dealing with Krieg Acerbus. While Krieg Acerbus is unable to be truly killed, due to Acerbus having ascended to demonhood, Zso Sahaal could still theoretically deal the former Axemaster of the Legion a heinous blow by destroying or crippling his warband. However, accomplishing such a feat would not be easy, as Krieg Acerbus currently leads the largest Night Lord's warband known within the galaxy at this current point in time. As such, any army under Zso Sahaal's command would either need to be rather large, exceptionally well armed, allied to other warbands derived from the remaining traitor legions, able to effectively launch a surprise assault, or possibly all of the above, to oppose the Demon Prince's vast and powerful warband. Seeing as there has been little if any documented instances of Zso Sahaal after the incident upon Aquixus, it's possible that the Talon Master had already been slain before he could muster such a force in his bid to reunite the Night Lord's Legion. As Krieg Acerbus desired the Corona Nox for himself, perhaps the Demon Prince and his warband managed to track down and slay the first captain in order to acquire the Primarch's crown for himself, as well as name themselves as the one true heir of the Night Haunter. But there is another rather fascinating possibility. Seeing as there is strong evidence to support the possibility of the soul of Konrad Curze being bound within the Corona Nox, as detailed within our video The Rebirth of Night Haunter, then perhaps after donning the Corona, the soul of the Night Haunter took possession of Zso Sahaal's body, or at least began to subtly guide or manipulate him. Seeing as Zso Sahaal wished to take revenge upon the Emperor for essentially orchestrating the murder of Konrad Curze, then perhaps the spirit of the Night Haunter, after having his actions vindicated due to his own murder, would begin to guide Sahaal's actions. Perhaps by taking full control of Sahaal's body, or through the utilization of his immense psychic abilities to subtly guide his gene son, Sahaal would begin to make his way towards Terra, so that Curze could have the Talon Master attempt to infiltrate the Imperial Palace in order to slay the Emperor in a quest for vengeance. Zso Sahaal was shown to have been a master of stealth and infiltration, and Konrad Curze, as one of the Primarchs, would have had some degree of knowledge in regards to the layout of the Imperial Palace. With those skills combined, perhaps one day Zso Sahaal can slowly but surely make his way into the inner sanctum of the throne room and slay the traitor Emperor to avenge his father. But in order to do so, he would need to make his way past the ever-vigilant warriors of the Adeptus Custodes, who watch over the Master of Mankind day and night. However, if Zso Sahaal could somehow unite a large enough portion of the Night Lord's Legion behind him in order to launch an assault upon Terra itself, then the Talon Master could theoretically take advantage of such a golden opportunity. But whether or not such an attack would be successful is another matter entirely. Ultimately, none of these possibilities may have occurred, as all of this is purely speculation. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.